Oh, what the fuck? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Late Night Dominion, episode 17. Thanks for joining us again tonight. We're glad to have you. We hope you show up every week. Take it away, Beetle.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 17. We're almost done counting on everything, question mark. Good start already. You got Blank, skinny, not working out guy who's drinking something that's probably going to kill him, and we'll probably have like a 20-minute show. Aegon, the ginger techno mage who gets all this crap up and going. Then you've got Nexus, who just got back from a safari, apparently, and has got those trees going on. But we'll throw it over to Blank. I also got bugs in my room, and they're pissing me off. But Blank, go ahead with the news.
Again, welcome to Late Night Dominion. Show synopsis, you're going to hear about pre-launch communities, faction wars, and the implications of these. And we're going to talk a lot of it, about cash shops and MMOs. Tonight, instead of chicken talk, you're going to have kitty cat chat. So if you've got questions, comments, anything, please put them in chat. She'll be collecting them up and putting them on our Google document. Please make sure that you follow this Twitch channel, check us all out on Twitter, and like our page on Facebook. Gonna hop into your weekly news. The first link that you're gonna get from Kat is from Wildstar Central. It is a thread about modding and crafting. There's a lot of changes coming down the pipe for it, and it was a really, really big thread. There's a lot of conversation going on in there. So one of the things that we got is they're looking to make modding more accessible to the player. They don't want to split the player base with confusing. They don't want them to be confused. Trying to understand, modding and how that has implications for crafting. And a lot of the feedback apparently said that circuit board crafting isn't that fun. So they're looking to kind of spice it up, maybe give us some new pretty things. So, Beetle, tell us a little bit about what you read on the thread.
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting because there's something I'm sure is so close to Gortok. He's, the baby of his. So it's interesting to see that they're actually going to take some big feedback on it, according to them. So big change to that would be interesting to see. Maybe that's one of the reasons they're pushing stuff around, trying to get that up and coming again. And I can't wait to hear more about the new stuff.
Awesome. We had a bunch of stuff to discuss about it, but we want to see where things go and, anything else that comes out. So it being more fun sounds good to me. The next article that we have for you in your weekly news is a Penny Arcade article. They're going to be putting out pins, and it's going to be based on the Disney pin trading idea. They're going to try it for PAX. I believe this is the first time ever. You're going to be able to pick them up, trade, and try to get these collections from going to PAX. I really hope they do this at PAX East, too. You're going to get a link. And here you're also going to get a scene. The rousedhour.com put up much bigger picture of the Wildstar pins. So if you're going to PAX, try to grab a couple of pins, try to get, somebody who's walking by to grab a pin to give to you, even if they're not interested in the game, and maybe you'll get them interested in the game. People are really going to want these. I know I would love to cover my backpack with these. It would be friggin' awesome. So, try to find a friend that's going to PAX Prime. Definitely want to rep, your Draken or Granite. So, that's pretty cool. Next topic that we have for your weekly news is some of our friends over at Mission Nexus put up a article concerning casual or hardcore and why Wildstar raid leaders aren't going to have to choose. The discussion overall was about guild size, the impact of raiding, and it being a part-time job. the one part I do want to discuss is the sustainability of a guild being casual versus hardcore. A guild that is doing hardcore PVX, for example, is going to be doing that like a part-time job. They're going to have, even some of the numbers were like, for a casual group getting together, they might want 70 members or more just to be able to go in and see content. There's also a discussion about core raider ranks versus general raider ranks, and that's a guild ranking system where you say, we're going to have, normally for core raiders, we're going to have 40 core raiders and then potential subs. For most hardcore guilds, it's 1/4, so that's an extra 10 people. That's 50 raiders total, versus you're having your casual group, 70, 80, 90 some odd people sitting nearby. One of the side bullets we have here is that casual raid groups, 10 mans, 20 mans, are more fun because there's a little less stress. And the groups are able to progress at their own pace. They're able to sustain longer than hardcore groups, and if your group is around after a year, awesome. And again, the go-to roster of folks, normally your casual, your friends and family, your community-based people, sometimes they're the less skilled or they have less time, but they still want to see the content. How are you able to balance your guild, your infrastructure, sustain, where you want to go, and maintain your identity? This can create an interesting dynamic between core raiders and those who don't have the time in 40-man groups. And we were going to chat about that real quick. So, Bio, go ahead and lead that off.
Yeah, this point here, when Chrissy was talking about this, it struck closer to home for us, because you have your core raiders, and like the sustainability of a 40-man group is always difficult. You always have 60 to 70 people on. And then you can bring in, bench, that kind of stuff. But then it talks about the length of these 40-man guilds, and when does it become a point where you're mixing your core raiders with those who don't have as much time. You can call them casual, you can call them friends and family members. It always creates this dynamic with these 40-mans, which I actually really enjoy, because your hardcores, if they're great players, they can teach these people the strategies. This is a good point for those people that are casual, are friends and family, to increase their skill level. And that's one of my favorite things is, yes, I love to have our hardcore 40-mans, but I don't mind when we have 10, 15 people in there that are like, I need help. I've never done this before. Well, you're only going to get better being part of that group. That's just the nature of the beast, and that's one of my favorite things about the dynamic there. And I think we're getting feedback from, or maybe just wind, ? Blank. What would you like to say about this dynamic?
It's one of the reasons we've developed our guild infrastructure the way that we have. Am I loud? I just need to check. Am I good?
You're fine.
Okay. And we wanted, for the first time I wanted to have a dynamic where we could have 40, 50, 25, 30, whatever the numbers are of your hardcore group, but not be exclusive. We wanted to have our casual, our friends and family, the econ PvPers. We wanted to have everybody in our organization. It's a lofty goal. It's very difficult. But if you're able to balance and set up your events so that every group inside your organization is happy and they have goals and they're driven towards their goals at whatever pace that they can achieve, then, hopefully you do something right. And that's what, is one of the biggest struggles for us, for sure, is, balancing that. Did anyone else want to chat about that before we move on?
No. I got my little piece in.
All right. The next article that we got for you guys, and we'll just give you a little brief overview. Wildstar Wednesday heads to Gamescom and PAX Prime. This is all the information you need to know. Don't need to read the article. We'll give it to you right here. Gamescom. Going to be able to play Mordesh and Chua. Mordesh will be in Whitevale. It's a place we haven't seen a lot of, so take some pictures if you can. And on Friday, there will be a first come, first serve party. If you're there, check it out. get as much swag and cool stuff as you can, and definitely enjoy the parties. They're off the hook. PAX Prime, it's the same gameplay as Gamescom. There's going to be a panel that will be streamed by Penny Arcade on Saturday. You're going to be able to meet testers at the booth and ask them questions, so try to get some juicy details out of them. And there will be a party on Saturday for the Wildstar fans. Not sure if it's RSVP, if it's going to be like it was for PAX East, but definitely go if you're going, for sure. And the last part that we had, not so much Mordesh and Chua will both be in White Veil. Well, they lied to us, because that is not what the article said. But thank you, Justice, for that correction. Polygon put out an article that I myself wanted to post here because, we're about the community. And one of the things that they had mentioned was about game developers being harassed, how, it erodes the community. We've seen a couple articles recently from people just being super pissed off. So I just wanted to say, check out the article. It definitely is interesting. And I just want to say that I'm proud to be a part of the community that's supportive of the developers, even if, there are things that come out in the future we may not fully agree with. I have the feeling like this community is going to back the direction that the developers take, because we trust them to make a game that we will enjoy as much as they enjoy making it for us. So that's cool. Definitely give it a read. And that was really your weekly news. I gotta say, we listen to every podcast. I'm on every forums. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. They're just ramping up right now for the convention. So there's not a lot of stuff coming out. You can expect, of course, lots of articles, and also it's going to be this huge, explosion of information and exclusives and cool stuff from these conventions. So look forward to that. Right now, it's kind of dry at the well. So that's your weekly news for Wildstar. And at this time, we're going to transition into the topics that we had for the show. We'd love to get some of your guys' feedback here in chat. So we had talked about pre-release and how it affects the community, what other games have done to try and whether it's build hype or, put in infrastructure to help the community. So what we want to talk about is pre-release guild setups. This is being able to pick a server, to let people know what server you're going on. All of those sort of things people want to know, and we'll get into the implications down a little bit. But did one of you guys play SOTOR that could describe this a little bit for me? Because I did not.
Guild's not getting the server they request?
Yeah, basically they started.
Yeah, could you just...
Yeah.
Go ahead, Egon.
Yeah, basically they had, before the game started, all the guilds were signing up on their website that they created, and they were supposed to match up, and you were allowed to pick, I think it was three or five rivals and allies that you could be with, or that you wanted to be with, and their job was to try and get all those people on the same servers together. Sadly, that didn't work out at all. People were on the wrong server. Alliances didn't get up together. Rivals didn't end up on the same server, and guilds ended up having to spend their time moving to the servers once they were allowed to, and it just made a huge mess. Which if people had just picked their servers, ahead of time and be able to go where they want to, and then it would have flown out from there. It wouldn't have been such a hassle. I think it actually hurt the community at the start of that game.
Yep.
Beetle?
Go ahead, Beetle.
Did you want to comment there?
It's just the SWOTOR. Giving 3 and 3, something was bound to go wrong. It started as you make your guild and you get to choose which side they'll be playing kind of thing, and then they kind of took that into consideration. But, like you said, it unraveled from there, and then you have the people that are following those alliances or those competitions, and they're just like, oh, well, the guild's not here anymore, so I need to move too, and then it just becomes a huge thing. But if I could move down a note here, mine was more about the community chaos from constant server moves. I know Blank and I can talk about, we were both victims of that when Guild Wars 2 launched, and we moved a couple times when we were both parts of different guilds but same alliance. And the community that we had formed on our initial server was pretty upset about the alliance moving off of it and then moving again. And Guild Wars 2 with those free server transfers was a little rough. So I know a lot of people in chat and a lot of people all over the place will say, don't you dare do free server transfers, for the first, 3 months of the game. Yep. So everybody's just like, we're packing up, But Blank, what do you think?
That was just my one. If we're going to have a plea, and I normally have a bunch from the Carbine, let us be able to pick that server. Let us stay there. Let us grow our community. Let us have our homes. Do not make the mistake of past games. And Guild Wars 2 is that ex-girlfriend that destroyed communities. It was devastating for a lot of people to watch, people go from this server to that server, and then they tried to make it so there were certain restrictions. No. Make it so that you pick a server, you're stuck on the server. 3 months, 6 months, I would love a year. Make it so you got to pay to transfer. I don't care. But it just gives the player base, the server, the community stability. You have
it makes
an
you
identity.
Want to build.
Exactly. It's not, that was part of the reason why I pretty much dismissed Guild Wars 2, because I had one of the big parts of playing an MMO is your community around you outside of your organization. And when your organization is strong, but nothing else has any strong identity because you're always in flux, what's the point? So, anyways, Nexus, your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. One thing that I always thought that was funny regarding, the whole jumping from one server to another during Guild Wars 2 was, during the first 2 weeks, I ended up rolling on a server with just a couple friends, and then I started, being like, oh, well, I'm going to go join Blank, and I thought he was on my server, and, the next thing you know, he's not, because all those free server transfers and the alliance moving and whatnot. And what I thought was hilarious was people treat server transfers like you're going to end up in this new land of, opportunity and hope, and there's, it's going to be so much different. And essentially, it's not different. The community might be. But how are you ever going to fix the problem if you don't work on it? All it is running away from the initial problem. So I honestly feel like free server transfers off the bat, like you guys said, should not be allowed. In the long run, past the first 3-6 months, it should be allowed. I personally don't like seeing it being a paid service. However, it should be on a long cooldown. It shouldn't be something that you can be like, all right, let me just go try this server right here. And then, you're like, no, I don't like this so much. It's not a cozy fit, and keep moving. Again, you're running away from the problems. Pick a server. If you run into a small community of, you want to call them trolls, whatever you want, just then learn to cope with it and adapt and, maybe eventually show them the light, they don't have to remain the way they are. And I personally don't want to see it. And I know most of you agree with that. I'd like to know if somebody thinks that it should be allowed, post it in chat, because I'm curious to know what the other side of this topic is. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, there it is. There's the first one.
Yeah.
I'll have a drink for Nexus missing the first
I don't
cue.
even have 2 monitors this week, so it's even harder. I'm switching
Listen,
between tabs and stuff. I'm just
Montreal's problems, hashtag.
What I wanted to say was, cooldown's a good idea. I like the idea of it being a paid option. I like to put some things on the Wildstar community. I feel that we should be in control of certain things. However, let's put this in perspective. 3 of the top guilds in Wildstar Warplot are all on one battle group. And this is a factor you can't get around. Or can you? You can transfer somewhere else and get easy rating, get easy whatever, and then come back and be competitive. It turns into community metagaming, and I'm all about metagaming, but not when it's about the community at large. Not when I'm abandoning my server because I want to get an extra 100 rating a week. I'm not about that. There are certain things I'm willing to metagame, and for cash shop stuff, or it's this certain weekend buy extra stuff. Cool, I'm okay with that. But when it comes to that whole warm fuzzy community stuff, I would rather have a strong identity with your server, Tichondrius. Those, was it Battle Group 9 for World of Warcraft? Like, if you were in those certain battle groups, there came some pride with it. There came some history. That shit mattered. When you have no identity, it makes the whole subjective happy feeling shit go away. It doesn't matter. I'd like to be connected to my community. So, anyways, any more comments on this before I move on down?
Yeah, I'll just do one more little one. It's just we talked about doing paid and free and stuff like that. If they're going to introduce it early, within a 3-month period or within launch, I'd like to see it paid, and then giving free ones a little later, because, like we said, growing the community, after a year on my server, if I log in and I see something in chat, I just go, oh yeah, he's a troll. I've known he's been a troll for forever. It doesn't bug me. I don't care. It was like with Guild Wars, we tried to get away from one guild that just mass recruited, spam recruited and just recruited everybody. And then we transferred to a server, and wouldn't you believe it, there's a guild just like that on that server too, that's mass recruiting and spamming everybody. So it's like, either way, you might as well try to work your server up and be a better community around it, because wherever you go, there's going to be a troll. Wherever you go, there's going to be a guild that you don't get along with. There's going to be someone who's, just a general jackass. So it's just, in the long run, for me, I feel like it's just better just to stay on the server and just make it home. But that's me. Hang on.
Yeah, along what Beetle says, I mean, no matter where you go, you're going to find a troll. Just don't feed them and they go away. And, staying with that one server and building that community, I mean, it'll get better, and eventually you'll weed out the trash that you don't want there anyways. Build up what you got, make it stronger, don't feed the trolls, and have fun. That's what I say.
Well, to segue into the next part, where could be some issues? Where can we make this better? You're going to get a link for a website. It's they had one for Guild Wars 2, and this one's set up for Wildstar. It's where you can go, you put your guild, you put the server you're going to be on, your population. It's kind of the community way of putting its foot down, saying, oh, they released a server list, now we're going to roll on this server. One of the issues that I wanted to point out was server sizes are only so big. Now, let's say everybody wants to join Arrowwolf in his extra kick guild that are exiles. So they find out they're rolling on, certain server. They get so many people there. It turns into, I remember it was like, okay, we got to make sure everybody gets in. We had to have like a checklist that all the hardcore people got in first before those who were just friends and family, and just like craziness. So just one thing to think about, server size, people getting queued in, sitting in a queue, logging in, getting your account. It's pretty brutal if you can't transfer. That's one thing to think about. And the next part is this even a good idea? Having some sort of pre-set up functionality. One of the things that we didn't discuss, but we're going to get into here, is having some sort of pre-release access, where whether it's a deluxe edition, whether it's the make your character model first and save your character's name, and there are a lot of different ways to potentially do this. The tried and true way is the way that it's always been. Server comes up, you sit in queue, you get your name. If you gotta, log on to another server and level up and pay for the transfer, then you gotta suck up, especially for the hardcore people. Guilds will always find a way to get what they want. If that means that 50% of their guild actually sit on a server and the rest have to pay for a transfer, or the casual player base has to wait because there's such a crazy queue and they get in when they can, they always find a way with the restrictions and constraints that are there. And another thing that I wanted to mention was information flow. We've yet to see a lot of really big rivalries. I'm expecting there to be, especially when PvP is announced. Are people going to want to know are you as a guild leader going to want to tell others where you're going to roll? That is definitely information is another asset in pre-planning. If you look at the servers, you look who's on there, guild populations, their expectations, how they want to play. Maybe you don't release it. Maybe you try to get on a low pop server. Maybe you don't. So there's a lot of variables there. Nexus, why don't you tell us a little bit about early access and those sort of things we just discussed? What are your thoughts on that?
Right. So early access, another one of those delicate things about whether or not you should have it. I'm pretty sure it was Yuki, so Evil Kuro mentioned earlier in chat that he doesn't want it at all. And you know what? I'm right there in the boat with him, because it's become essentially early access is just a marketing tool now. It's like, oh, invest in the collector's edition and you get 5 days of early access to our game. I think it's a ridiculous, because it kind of fits in my opinion, into the whole, again, pay to win. You're paying extra, so rather than paying for the $30 edition, you're going to pay for the $60 edition. Get the 5 days of early access. By the time the wave hits, you're all going to be like max level in most games, and it's honestly, it takes away from the experience. I don't understand why would I personally just think it's stupid. Like, why would you even have that option available? Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have betas. Of course they should. However, in my opinion, whenever you determine like a release date, that should be when everything's cleared, everybody starts at the same slate, and it's a race from then on. Having that early access available to you through a paid collector's edition or whatever it is, no. Please do not do that. I know I tend to have very, critical opinions about these kinds of things. Chat, what do you think? If you think that it is a good thing to have, to be able to access the game 3-4 days, even a week early, give me some reasons. I want to know. Honestly, let's talk about it. And I mean, what do you guys think? Mike?
Oh, skip me. All right.
Oh, Beetle, I thought you were just saying you can make my ideas.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be the same place I am, but I like early access if that's the model they're going with. I don't. Again, coming from a hardcore background, if I pay and get 3 days before everyone else, cool. They do also do it. Somebody said it staggers people through the early areas and mitigates some early logon issues. Maybe that's the idea about it, but really I think it's a dollar bills thing, honestly. Hey, play our game 3 days early, get a jump start. If you've got guilds with 40, 100, 150, let's say 120 hardcore players to do PvP and PvE, they all have to pay. Like, it's not an option. Like, hey, you want to be on the fucking roster, you got to pay, and you need to be there, and you need to be playing like 12, 16, 18 hours a day. So they'll do it. Do I think it's a terrible idea? Not really. I do feel that it's less of what Summer Radix said in chat. I don't think it's about population distribution, because there's probably hardware ways and software ways and nerdy code stuff ways around that. But I really feel that it's a dollar bill. It's based on, can we offer this to people, and how is it incentive? Is it enough incentive to pay an extra $30, $60, whatever it is? So, Beetle, your turn, brother.
Yeah. Couple thoughts on the early access thing. I think it was Leopard said earlier, no one can get to max level in 5 days. Well, we've seen that the people can, but the thing about this game is they're going to be at Elden games standing by themselves. You're not going to be able to do any of that content by yourself. Like, if you're early access and yes, you're getting, let's say, 10% of your guild hits max within 5 days, good for you, but 10% is going to be too small to do, whatever. And also, Nexus may say he doesn't like early access, but with NCSoft's track record, and I know from a production standpoint, I know Carbine may say we don't want to do it, but NCSoft may nudge them and say, well, you're gonna, because it gets cash money, homie, and it's worked in the past. I don't think early access breaks the game. Yes, there will be people in an area that you're not. Yes, there'll be a guy who is riding a mount that you may have not bought yet. Big deal. you obviously didn't like the game enough to get into early access if it's buy-in. So it's your own fault at that point. You're 5 days behind. I mean, I don't want to say nobody got time for that, but ain't nobody got time for that. But yeah, that's just my take on it. It's probably going to happen because of NCSoft's track record. Aegon.
Going back, I think it's a combination of both. I think one, yeah, it's a money thing for the company. It lets them gauge the interest early on into the game, and lets the players who are really interested get in there early and see it. And two, I think that is a way for them to lower that stress on their initial servers from the beginning, because they'll have a slow flow out from the starting areas, because we've seen what games that don't offer that and their starting areas are a mess, no matter how big of a server farm we think they might have. But as for early access, being bad, I don't think so. I mean, especially in a game like this, unless you're grinding day and night, you're not going to see much of a head start over other people. And if you do, so what? You'll catch up eventually. I mean, unless you're, unless it's a job for you, you're here to have fun. So who cares? I mean, early access, normal play. That's what I think. Go ahead, Blank.
People are asking what I'm drinking, and it's getting to be a little rough. I'm drinking Vitalis Serum. Is that how I say it? It's like 14 different fucking ingredients, and of course, with every other Wildstar drink, it seems to look like toilet bowl water. However, it actually tastes pretty good, and it's doing its job very well. So,
you're not doing it right unless it looks like toilet bowl water.
Exactly, obviously. Vitalis Serum, there you go. It's strong as shit. Leveling speed is what I wanted to discuss. Getting access to content first is getting you days ahead, depending on how much of a conditioned gamer you are. 3 days access, is 50 some odd hours ahead of other people. Even with the metric that we've been told of 150 hours, that's 1/3 of the content ahead of other people before they start. That's kind of a big deal. So, I'm willing to spend X amount of money to go out and drink or buy this or buy that. I'm pretty sure most people are like, wow, if I want to play this game and be hardcore or progressive or do something like that, they're willing to pay that extra money to get there those extra 3 days, because it's big. If you're a role player or perhaps because even PvP or PvE, it doesn't matter. Either one, you want to get there as quick as possible. If you're a role player, maybe, if you're a casual looking to just enjoy the game with your friends, not that big of a deal. But even then, it's incentivized. Hey, all my other friends are playing right now. I got 30 extra bucks. Fuck it. Nexus, how about you?
I mean, I guess, yes, in a way it is incentivized, right? You do end up paying, and it's not like you're not getting anything in return. You get to play with your friends, you get a little bit of that competitive edge. I do think 3 to 5 days makes a huge difference, because in certain games you hit max level in 3 to 5 days, So I'm looking at it from both sides. As the player who has the early access, you hit max level, you're sitting there, you maybe have like 4 other friends who were max level with you, before the game releases, and then before you can do any of the 40-man content. And I'm not talking about people who are in organized guilds the way like some of us are, more of just like your regular member, regular player. He hits max level, he's just like, okay, now what do I do? Well, I wait for a week. This is what I do now. I just go around farming and waiting for a week for other people to catch up so I can even do the content. So in one way, sure, you're getting an end game, but you're still going to have to wait. Another thing that I read was Leopard Spots said, if you think early access is giving people an unfair advantage, what about the people who get into beta? They'll definitely have an advantage. Well, sure, but that's the reason that it doesn't go from closed beta to release. There's an open beta between there. So you end up getting, you're giving the opportunity for everyone to hop into the universe, give it a shot, see how it goes, play for a month, and then it releases, and you just start over. But yeah, you're exposed to it, and I mean, I don't really see that as an issue. You don't pick like 20 people, teach them the game like 6 months in advance, and then release it, and they're just like, yeah, well, See you later, peasants. I'm
Right.
just gonna be like,
You can't-
I know which.
You can't stop a couple thousand people from knowing how to play the game because they're going to be in beta. I mean, their characters are of course going to be wiped, but yes, they may understand where to press W towards first, but you can't stop that. That's just the nature. That's video game, as they would say. These bugs are going to kill me. We can keep moving. Sorry.
All right, we're gonna move on. We wanted to make some mention of why we feel that the community is as strong as it is pre-launch, and some of the variables to why we have such a strong community, and why we may not need a pre-release thing. Why having a website to tell us where we're going or not going isn't a big deal. Wanted to talk about active fan site participation. These are scrolling like crazy here. These are the active people in our community that help drive where the community goes. They're the head of the ship. They may not be Troy or David, the developers, but these are Wildstar Central. This is other podcasts. I'm not going to mention them all. There's a lot of really good ones. We've talked about that before. This is the Settler and Exiles. These are the blogs that are being written. They help drive where the community goes. We have community activities. We've got game nights. We have open events between organizations where we invite each other into each other's, voiceovers, and we hang out. We play games. There's always town halls being organized. These are normally quarterly events. It engages community concerns, and it encourages camaraderie between organizations, guilds, websites, things like that. And they're organized so that they're normally put on a platform so that developers can, instead of looking at the forums, they get to hear from the people that are organizing guilds, that are taking time to put up fan sites, websites that are driving content. They get to hear from them firsthand, discuss, whatever topics happen to come up. There are local meet and greets. I wrote down smaller local conventions and meetups. Beetle wanted to comment on that. Beetle?
Yeah, not exactly the meetups part, but just touching on the community stuff as a whole. It's like we may try to get people on TF2 server, whatever. Some people don't like playing TF2, but if it's the weekend or a random weeknight and you in your guild somewhere is playing something, tweet about it. Message me on Wildstar Central. Be like, hey, we got a couple of people playing on this server. Let's say like Chivalry. A lot of people have that game, and I have it installed. If you guys are looking for people to just bust heads with, I might toss a spear at you. It just comes down to that. Like maybe you're like Blank. Maybe he's streaming League of Legends Saturday night. Tweets out about it. If he wasn't in my guild, I'd click on the Twitch stream and go hang out. If I'm not playing anything, it's just if you build it, they will come. Is that too corny to say? I think it might be actually.
No, that's perfect.
No, it's perfect.
No.
It's like, just, tweet me, message me, I'll come. I got a lot of games I don't play. I mean, I don't have a ton of time, but I'd be more than willing to play anything with anybody from this community and probably get my ass kicked. Just my little thing there, sorry.
The last part we had was convention meetups, and this is PAX East. We got to meet a lot of really cool people at PAX East this year. PAX Prime is coming up. I hope to meet a shit ton of you. If you watch this and you're going to PAX Prime and you see me rolling around in my wheelchair with my military backpack and you don't come up and say hi, but you tell me later, this happened at PAX East. Don't do that. Come up, say hi. Let's go to a panel. Let's go to the party. I want to inspire an awesome community that's not just I'm behind my monitor, you're behind yours, but a place where we get together in real life and see each other and get food and bullshit and talk about the games we play and have fun. That's an awesome part about being in this community. And the last part we had was faction. It's kind of silly, but we have fun faction propaganda right now. There's Extra Kick versus SVG. They put up we're always giving Arwolf crap because we love him. He's one of our favorite exiles. And I saw a thread while searching our Google stuff for more information for this week that someone had put out a hit list or we need to get those guys. And I was like, wow, that is awesome. it wasn't like a, oh yeah, fuck those guys, puff up our chest. It was more like, this is awesome. This is going to be fun. So I put it on Twitter. We'll make something out of it. It's good for the community when it's not bitter, nasty, like hate each other. There's a place for that too, but we've yet to really see that grow from any of the organizations that we've seen in the Wildstar community yet. And then we have fun hashtags. I started the hashtag Dominion Domination. It was based off of one of the things Pappy posted a time ago. And the Exiles have finally developed one. They're almost late to the show, but they
Takes
made
them a little
Exiles
time.
forever. It's just they don't have Chua. They got the reject zombies, so whatever. So that's what we like about the community. We talked a little about early access. Now we're going to get into what's going to get me a shit ton of email, but I'm looking forward to it. Cash shops, items for Wildstar. Who else has done it? What could be done? What we don't like, what we could like. Hold on your seats, and please put your comments, put your questions in chat. We will get to them. First, big one. What do you consider pay to win? Is this XP boost? Is this an elite status that gives you 4 times as many dungeons, 2 times as many dungeons? Is it considered pay to win if it only has end game implications, but not leveling speed or leveling speed? Where do you start to draw that line? For me, I played Guild Wars 2 and I played Terra. Those are going to be what I draw my examples from. In Guild Wars 2, we as an organization spent over $1,000 on items to dominate in world versus world. This was between sponsors. This was between personally generated money. There were a lot of different sources, but it had a huge difference on having what was the world versus world tag? I don't quite remember. The commander tag. I needed to have the commander tag.
For some reason, I need one of those too, and it was 100 gold. And the guild was like, why are we doing this? So I can run around and yell stuff in all caps, obviously.
Yeah, so people could follow. It had shit implications, but it's something we needed. We needed to have money to be able to put up bigger, better shit than everyone else so we could dominate them early, fast, and hard so we could sit around and do Daliac runs all fucking night. The other part of pay to win, converting real money to in-game money. Guild Wars 2, like I just said, we had World versus for Terra. My biggest one was I didn't actually buy into the game. I did get the elite stuff, but I didn't actually buy the points until there was a special event on the weekends. It's a great cash grab from developers and the publishers.
Right.
But it destabilizes the economy like crazy because I was able to get with probably $50 or $100 worth of real life money over $500 or more worth of in-game currency. What I bought and what I won was literally almost $1 million gold in the game, which is crazy. But to a publisher, that's easy money. I don't know how they look at it. I'm not an econ guy, but I'm gonna stop prattling on here. Beetle, let's kind of walk into this. It's kind of dangerous territory, so go for it.
Yeah, my first thing is you gotta PM me my founder's code tonight for Terra. And
you mean the 12 I stuck over here? Okay.
Yeah, I need that because I'm installing it. But so we got a note here: converting real-world money for in-game money. So if we talk about Guild Wars 2, I really, and people are probably going to hate me, I really, really don't care if you can go buy an XP boost. I didn't think the Guild Wars 2 cash shop, it didn't bum me out to see it or anything like that. I was like, oh, whatever, I'm not buying a boost because I'm living off Chef Boyardee and Easy Mac. That just can't do it, so I don't care. But the thing with it is the real world money to game money is if you have yes, an XP boost could be game breaking in a game that matters with levels. Guild Wars 2 really didn't matter with levels, let's be honest. But if there's a game that allows you to convert these currencies and has something game breaking in the cash shop, I mean, then it's something much worse. You know, all of a sudden I'm converting into all this gold.
So wait,
and I'm able to.
Let's talk about that.
What I do?
What is the difference? Well, no. What is the difference between game breaking and not game breaking? Because we have it down here. XP crafting speed bust.
Sure.
Let's define that. What is game breaking for you?
Game breaking is something that you can buy that actually pertains to the in-game. XP boosts, Magic Find boosts in Guild Wars, they didn't matter. Yes, you're maybe getting 4 more ectoplasm every run. Yes, you're maybe hitting another skill point every run. But those things don't matter in the big picture for Guild Wars 2. Now, let's say Wildstar has a big XP boost or a big Magic Find boost, and I'm using these in raids. I can just buy these up. Not a big deal. It depends on the in-game is my big thing. You know what I mean? It'll break the game if it has somewhere to belong within the game. In Guild Wars 2, those cash shops items, they never belonged to me. That's why it wasn't game breaking. I know it's all feng shui and it's not feng shui. God, I'm just gonna stop talking. Blank, go ahead. Or Nexus. Let's let Nexus go.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I know this is near and dear to his little heart.
Well, are we still on the topic of, you know, what is game breaking or not? Or are we moving on?
Yes.
Blank.
Absolutely. Go on.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
walk on into it.
Okay. Game breaking or not, it depends on the point of view that you're looking at it from. If you're looking at it from a purely competitive point of view, pretty much anything is game breaking if it can, you know, and bear with me, but I think that something is, and this is what I was saying earlier, something as small as a movement speed buff of 15%, it's something that can be considered game breaking, even if it's 5%. But why? You know, you're just like, why does it matter? Because in the long run, those couple extra seconds you gain make a difference. You're running from point A to point B to kill X mob or to turn in X quest, and you're slowly but surely gaining the advantage. And, you know, then you've got the 15% XP boost that you might get out of a random chest. Well, guess what? If that applies to, for example, quest XP, that's a huge boost. If it's just mob XP, well, then you're just going to sit there and grind a bit more, and you're going to get that. In my opinion, everything kind of big picture is what we were saying earlier. Yeah, it does make a difference in the big picture. Because if you're, again, being competitive, by the time you hit max level after 150 hours, all of that will have added up and made a pretty big difference. That's like 15, 20, 25 hours that you might have gained. So, you know, some think it doesn't make that much.
Feedback from somebody.
I personally it might be me.
I
Go ahead
think
and
it's
check
on
your
your
stuff.
blank. Because I can hear you.
Is it me?
So.
It's not me.
It's whatever was making my volume cut in and out.
What I was going to say, yeah, stupid internet. I wanted to talk about exponential gains when you're buying stuff like this. I went and got the elite status on Terra because I was doing the same dailies, except I was doing more of them. I was collecting them up because that was part of the perk, and I was generating more income for the same amount of work that everyone else was doing. I was actually doing it faster. It was exponentially benefited me. And to the point with a game like that, that you're able to turn that into, there are websites that sell gold, there are websites that sell accounts and stuff like that. If you're spending $100 and you're power leveling and you're selling your account for $500, that is a math, however much increase. It's worth it if you're getting to max level before everyone else. It's worth it, especially if that's where your drive is. So whether it's an XP boost, it's a movement boost, it's a damage increase, anything that increases stuff at a cost that you can pay for with dollar bills, it's pay to win. And that's where a lot of these games love to do. Hey, listen, if it's not a cosmetic thing, which I think takes away from like endgame rating, which is a totally different topic. If it's not if we're going to keep Wildstar related, if it's not for your house, if it's not a silly mount, if it's not whatever, some artificial thing that you could buy, and it affects the game, people are going to buy it, and especially those that want to play the game hardcore. Looks like Nexus is crying because he didn't finish talking. Nexus, do you want to keep going?
I'm gonna try not to rant. What I will say though is, whenever you do have these little boosts, right? And already, oops. Whenever you do have these boosts, right, they might only cost you 50 cents, right? And they might last an hour or two, but whatever it is. And let's say you're playing with a group of people, and they're all using those boosts. And like, let's say I'm playing with you guys, and you guys are all just like, yeah, it's whatever. Let's just go ahead and pay for it. And I'm just kind of like, well, I'm not really for it, but now I feel obliged to do it if I want to keep up with the pace that my friends are leveling at. And in my opinion, I feel like that makes it go from like option to obligation. You just like, I don't really want to, but I'm going to lose out if I don't. So it's a very specific situation I'm using as an example, I know, but it's still a possibility. And to just even set it up so that could happen, in my opinion, is wrong. Another thing that bothers me is whenever you do have things, for example, such as the cash to in-game money option, and we were using the Guild Wars 2 example, you have the 3 or 4 extra ecto. It can make a difference because you use, those materials to end up crafting items, and by the time you hit endgame, those few extra ecto might make the difference between 1 or 2 extra items, and then you can get early. I know in Guild Wars it didn't really make that big of a difference, but let's say it did have like a very solid endgame that required a certain level of gear to get into the raiding scene. Well, you have, those 2 extra items, and you get in early, and the other person's just like, what the F, like I've been working just as hard as you have. The only reason I'm not there now is because I didn't pay $5 extra. So it does, in my opinion, qualify as pay to win. It's not game breaking, but it's still pay to win. And I mean, when we talk about game breaking, sure, some things aren't game breaking. However, they still qualify as pay to win. And now, here's something people are not going to like me for. Even, I hear the argument, make things aesthetic, keep it aesthetic, and you're fine. No, I don't agree with that. Because whenever you even have it down to like being able to buy a costume that you can use on your character that looks super cool but doesn't like disappear during combat, what is part of the stuff that drives you to want to do the endgame content is that you do get that cool looking gear. Sure, you get the achievement, you get to kill the boss, there's other stuff that you're aiming for, but that's part of it. It's part of the experience. And I don't like it that it takes away from the experience if you're able to get that cool looking gear without having to go do the raids. So the argument of purely aesthetic versus, stat boosts and stuff like that, it kind of all jumbles in, which is why at the end of the day, I always say no cash shops, you're just looking for trouble. But any opinions on that, Beetle?
Yeah, I got all sorts of opinions up in this little noggin, but I think Keth kind of nails it. That's something that really only applies to PvP servers. It isn't going to kill PvE or RP. You said this isn't game breaking in one of your quotes there. It's like, to me, I feel like I'm so competitive that I don't care if somebody's buying a boost. I mean, I think it gets to the point where I'm like, I'd rather do it on my own kind of thing, that kind of competition. But it might literally come down to, and it's kind of odd, it might literally come down to is I just don't care. Like, as long as the cash shop isn't breaking my game physically or virtually, like I can't log in, go ahead and buy whatever you want. Go get these little sugar pills that make you think you're doing better than I am. As long as I don't come up against you out in an open world or in a war plot, and I click your name and you have 3 buffs that you bought, and you 2-shot me or something like that, I have no problem. Until something like that happens, then it's forcing me to buy that perk or that buff. I could honestly give 2 shits. I go buy everything in the shop. Go buy every little boost you want. I'm going to be just riding. I'll buy the weapon skins. I'll buy the mounts or something because I'm dumb and I don't spend my money well. But like placebos, like Fallen Angel says, sugar pills. No. That's all I think they are.
Disagree. God, I knew this was going to be like this. First of all, saying it doesn't affect PvE, y'all, have you guys played MMOs? Like, the first people to get to the dungeons, to get to the heroics, to get the fucking craftables, to make the stupid legendary belt that you could only get item level that's in a raid, like, the first people to Elder Game, End Game, PvE are the first ones in the dungeons. They're the ones who make the 5-mans that are super powerful. Normally that's the dude who's a tank and your main healer. What do you mean this doesn't affect PvE? You guys are crazy. It hugely affects PvE. If that was what I was driving for Wildstar, I'd be all about it, dude. I'd buy all the buffs. I'd have them all. So that within, 4 days instead of 5 days, I could be doing the hard mode adventures and dungeons and whatever the hell we need to do. The other part I want to throw on there was your concept doesn't work because you said, okay, if the guy doesn't 3-shot me, you're okay with it. But what if he's able to get into a warp plot a week before you and get 2 items, so he's already ahead? Now, even if you guys are evenly matched in skill, he has 2 more items that have more health, better PvP stats, more damage, mitigation, just by being there before you. Does that not force you into the position of having to buy those same things to be there, to get those 2 items, to then be able to feed him skill, not 2 pieces of gear and skill?
See, yeah, that's the thing, though.
It
It's
might
like
you so hard it does blow up your computer. So.
But you say, doesn't that force you to buy this thing to do that? No, like I said, I honestly don't give an F. Like jeez, we're getting that in and out again. That's probably gonna cut me out. But like,
No, go ahead.
does it force me to buy anything? Hell no. Yeah, sure, he might have those 2 items that mitigate that damage. Okay, I'm not, as they would say, I ain't shook. It might just be me just liking the game too much and not caring enough, but it just doesn't bug me. And maybe I should step out of the conversation because I'm not like for it or against it, because like Real Wolf says in chat, cash shops are here to stay. It's becoming part of video games. I think I've accepted it, and I'm just kind of like,
What kind of mentality is that?
fuck it.
That's a terrible mentality.
But we can't.
It's broken,
you can't
but
fight
it's here,
it.
so just
No,
get
it's
over
not.
it. No,
it's not
no.
necessarily. I'm not saying it's broken. It's just if I can play the game still, and I'm fine with it, and I can still raid. We can all raid without bot items. We can all raid without bot items, and the game is still fine, and we can progress through these raids. Yes, those guys did it a day ahead of us because they bought buffs, but why should we care? That's like saying you go out and you're like, ah man, I look fat, don't I? Or you just go out and you say, I'm gonna go drink everything because I don't care. It's like caring about what people think about you. I don't care that they're buying buffs. I'll play the game and get shit done and play it the way I want to play it.
So
It's not necessarily about what you think people think about you. It's also about
No,
you.
I was just
You'd
I was
like
just
to
making
see-
trying
like
to make
it-
something there.
All right. I don't know, man. Like, for example, if you do have that small advantage in PvP, and you are playing for a PvP rank, and you don't, like, let's say there's a Warlord title, and you want to have it, like, that's what you're playing for. You're just like, I'm here to PvP, I'm here to have the title that nobody else can have. Well, you're obliged to pay for the boost to get that title. Like, it's forcing you to invest more money just to have the title. It's not play to win. It's you're paying and playing to win. I don't know. Obviously, a lot of people are okay with them. I think it's another one of the two-sided things. I can see why they can be useful too. I can totally argue that. A casual player who has to work, but when he gets home at night and he can't play till 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. because his kids, he has to put his kids to bed. He gets 2 hours. Sure, like that could be useful for him. He can catch up to his buddies because he has that extra 20% boost. Like, I can argue that too, but I'm looking at purely from a competitive point of view. It sucks. It sucks.
And I mean, if it's broken, it's broken. And I'll be the first one to admit, yes, this cash shop is giving advantages to other people. But if it's just a normal cash shop, buy a few cosmetic items, buy a few little boosters, whatever, that's when I don't care. But you're saying you do care. You still think it's pay to win. There's a certain point where a shop will reach a point where you're just like, holy F, like, if you just buy your armor sets or you just buy your weapons and your augments or something like that, oh my god, yes, they're leaps and bounds better than me. Then I'm upset. But you're arguing from the point that the shop's already effed. The shop is terrible. I'm arguing from the point that I haven't seen the shop yet, and I'm hoping that Carbine does it all right, that I don't care enough.
Mm-hmm.
So we're arguing from two separate points, but it's like, I just if it's bad, it's bad. But if it's mediocre in a couple I don't care still. But Aegon, let's see what you have to say on it.
And cash shops are a huge catch-22 nowadays in games. Games seem to live and die by them at this point. For me, I think, yes, cash shops are an advantage and can be an advantage in a game depending on what they sell. XP boosts, speed boosts, any kind of boost that they throw in. Do they unbalance the game? In certain people's minds, yes. Competitively, yes, they unbalance the game. Casually, not really, because you're playing at your own pace. If I'm a hardcore player and I'm seeing boosts in this game, I'm going to use them to compete. I'm going to have to use them to compete because every other hardcore person is going to use them to compete. If I'm a casual person, I don't really care. I might buy them occasionally to speed up my leveling. I may buy that extra mount when I have the extra money and I think it's cool. But it's not going to be that important to me. But yes, they are game breaking in their own ways. They do force obligations on people when, especially among the hardcore that are constantly racing to that end point. Can they do anything about them? No, because so many games now depend on them for an additional side income to keep their games going. Well, they're going to go away? They're never going to go away. Can they be made better? I don't know. I mean, that's something that's going to take a lot of work to do. As for vanity items, I mean, I have no problem with the vanity items. I think vanity items should never be nearly as good looking as what you're going to get from your raids and from your normal adventuring and PvPing and such. And I don't think any kind of these boosts and stuff should ever be integrated into PvP whatsoever. Because when you're in a player versus player environment, you're forcing an obligation on anybody who's PvPing, casual or hardcore. That's my 2 cents on that. Good. I think Beetle's next.
I guess technically I am, but it's the same, like Aegon, you say, like, if someone else is using a boost, if I'm competitive, I feel the need that I need to use that boost to compete. There's certain boosts and certain items and certain numbers that I don't feel it is necessary to compete. Like, let's go. I mean, blank. We can go back to Guild Wars 2. How many times, if let's say you're running around as a group of whatever 20, and you hit another, and you're gonna go hit a keep, and this keep has all the upgrades. So every kid that's popping out of that thing has eight buffs on them. Those buffs were at a point where, if we saw them, our tactics never once ever changed. It did. That's my true belief of buffs and paying for items or paying for a keep upgrade not mattering. Because if they were still not as organized as you, or still just running around, those buffs we could still cut through them. It didn't matter. So it just really comes down to, like, the balancing of it. Like we said with Nexus before, if the shop's bad, it's bad. If I can put on a buff that gives me 50% more attack damage as opposed to 13% or something like that, okay, that's broken. But there's games that have shown it, like, oh my god, I click on this guy's name, he's got every buff in the World v World area. I don't care.
Yep.
It just doesn't matter to me.
I agree with you, but we're talking about... There is something to be said for player skill and playing how you enjoy it and whatnot. However, these are incentivized plays. They're marketing ploys done by games. Whether it's a quick cash grab like Guild Wars 2, whether it's like Firefall. Firefall just pissed off its entire community, and God bless the guys over there.
Oh, yeah.
But they put out some collector's edition, spend $100, get some exclusive shit, it's the best thing ever, and then they just changed it. And everybody was like, what the fuck? We paid all this money, and now we have to pay it again to get something else that's cooler than the thing we paid for?
Mm-hmm.
What we're talking about is incentives. You that guy that you went up against that has all the buffs wanted to pay the money. He paid the money for the extra 3 days, like you did. He apparently wanted to pay more. Your skill versus his skill may have helped, but let's be honest. Your group of 20 versus his group of 20 that has the ability to have the guild buffs, to have the best items there, to have the increased supply on them, did help the metagame at some point. And that's what I'm talking about.
Sure.
When it comes to a cash shop, I really don't care because I play the metagame. If there's a friggin' event coming up and on the weekend they're going to have double drops in Terra, I can quadruple money. I spend $100, get 500, 800. I go from having 1,000 gold to having 1,000,000 gold. Absolutely, I'm going to do it. Even if I decide I'm leaving the game and I'm selling my account, oh my God, breaking my terms of service, I'm still going to be making out financially. If I can go down to McDonald's, give them $5 and get a sandwich, or I can give them $5 and they give me a sandwich, $20 back, I'm going to do the second part. That's how it is for anybody.
Whoa. Hey, man.
Yeah.
McDonald's has a dollar menu. You're paying $5 too much.
I don't go out to eat that often, so or at least I don't eat, fast food. But the point is, if the incentive is there and it is, I'm not much talking about balance. I don't give a shit about balance because everybody figures out what is and isn't balanced. People mention the Aeon cash shop, which is totally out of whack. We're not even going to discuss it.
Wings.
The thing is, if it's there, I want it to be the incentives to be there so that everybody has a chance to play and enjoy it. I like Terra, don't get me wrong, but being able to pay to win in whatever way to describe it, it really broke the immersion and the fun to the game to me, especially after that event. Once I went to that event, I went from having 1,000 gold to 1,000,000 gold. I was like, I'm done. Like, what is the point? Nexus, go ahead.
No, this is a topic that you could really talk about for as long as you wanted, because then, we could detail the types of items that we specifically want to have in a cash shop that we're okay with, like maybe passive pets or mounts or not, there's certain things in cash shops that work. For example,
Wait.
like buying,
Let's do that.
Go ahead.
We should do that.
Yeah, sure.
What's that?
What
should we do,
We
Blank?
can definitely do that. Before we do, though, I want to make a point of something, because I'm known as, the neighborhood cash shop hater. Cash shops can work. Look at Dota 2. I think Dota 2 has a great cash shop. That's a game in which cash shop works. I can say that the League of Legends one works. It does. I don't agree with everything it does, but the point is, certain games can totally, be home to cash shops. In an MMORPG, I personally don't think it belongs there. However, in a MOBA, it's great because at the end of the day, your levels don't make a difference. You don't hit any harder. None of that makes a difference. It's just about your skill. In a game like an MMORPG, though, the gear you have, because you had that extra XP boost, because you had a little bit more of an advantage in terms of time, that does make a difference. So, I don't know. But let's go down. Let's talk about these specific items we want to see in cash shops.
It's gonna round table. We'll go in the order, so it'll go me, Beetle, Aegon, Nexus. Yes or no? Cash shop. We're not gonna talk about breaking or not breaking. For Wildstar, do you want to see XP boost in a cash shop? I'm gonna say, if they're there, I will buy them. If not, it's not going to break me. Beetle?
I'd rather not see them. We're going piece by piece, right? XP boost?
Yep. Yes or no? XP boost, yes, no, would you or wouldn't you?
I would not like to see it.
Okay. Aegon?
On a personal level, no, I would not mind it. Game-wise, I think it could change a lot of their design for the next game.
All right, Nexus?
No. I don't want to see XP boosts.
Crafting increases. Crafting is going to be a big deal in Wildstar. Even though I'm for a cash shop, I would not like to see speed increases, additional items, chances for critical success, things like that. Crafting increases are a no for blank space. Beetle?
I say no, just to make sure that Onrez can keep his wallet fuller than possible. I don't need him to spend money on it, because he would.
Yeah.
I'm helping you, Onrez.
No, I would say no on the crafting booth.
Nexus?
No. Not at all.
Nexus is gonna say no to everything. You should just put cash
That's
shop.
not true. There's like
Yes
there's
or
no-
no.
exact
Nexus
things
would
on
be
this
like,
list that I might say yes to.
Okay,
There's
so
two things on there
crafting
that-
increases, Nexus.
Not at all. I don't want to see them. Like it's another one of those things. It's like you get the extra crafting increase. You happen to get a proc. You get that extra rare item, which allows you to have you finally have that piece you need to craft the I don't know, the headpiece that has 50% crit instead of like 40% crit. You go to PvP, you crit that extra 10% chance, and you're a winner. And it's just like, no, I don't want to see that.
Okay.
aliens.
Movement speed increases. This is mounted.
You skip
do
character
we have
slots.
that? Oh, sorry. Additional character slots. Me personally, I don't mind additional character slots. If this is the type of game where they've lied to us and it only takes fucking 50 hours to get to max level, and then by the second expansion, I have 4 fucking alts because I need to have additional things to play for my time, that will suck. But does it bother me? Yes or no? Doesn't really matter. Unless it turns into a metagame thing. Beetle, additional character slots.
Go ahead, Carbine.
Nexus, this one I think you'll have something different.
With character slots?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm okay. Actually, here, it depends. If this is a game where having alts with, extra professions makes a difference because you're able to farm on them and there's like a million different professions and you only get 3 when you need like 6 and you have to pay for those, that's annoying. However, if you get like 4 character slots to start off with, your main character can do everything, has access to everything, then I don't mind. Like, you want to have 10 alts, do it. I usually just level up one character and focus on him. So yeah,
Alright.
it really just depends.
Next one we have is...
Hey, me. I'm all for character
Oh.
slots. I'm an alcoholic, so I'm all for extra character slots. So
Yeah, I figured that's kind of a toss-up, but it's another one to throw out there that we've seen. The next one is movement speed increases. This is for your character?
I think that's
I'm all
character
about
increases.
it.
I think it'd be character ones.
Yeah. It's character-based, and I'm definitely going to say yes. Movement speed is cool, gets you to your objectives faster, especially early on. I'd buy them if they had them. Beetle?
Go ahead. Be fast. I don't care. Woo, I'm
Aegon?
2%
I got
faster.
no problem with movement speed. I'm all for that.
Nexus?
I mean, you heard what I said earlier about movement speed, right? I feel like that little
Yep.
advantage you get to get point A and point B isn't necessarily a good thing. If they implement it, I mean, and this is not something I'm gonna make a huge deal out of. So yeah, if it's in, I'm all right with it. As then you have to look at other things though, not just getting from point A to point B, but like, let's say you're trying to access a certain geographical point, and having that extra movement speed allows you to jump far enough. Like that stuff like that is a little silly, but it's. I mean, it depends, I guess.
What if it gives you like an
Depends on how-
awesome effect on your shoes? Like little
Oh,
wings.
stop it.
Little Aries wings or
If I
Nikes.
can look
Nike
at
wings.
I'm okay with that.
I will,
I'll say yes to
J-Tal
this
said
one, 'cause
the
it's on
first
that.
rule of payment model is you do not talk about payment model. The second rule of payment model is you do not talk about payment model.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Couple more. We're gonna
I'm talking
smash
about
through
Nike.
these. Rep boost. I love them. Give me them. I'll buy them all the time. End game rep that you need to get a certain item. Fuck yeah. Beetle.
No.
Aegon.
As a casual player, hell yes.
Nexus.
I don't know why you would say yes to that, Blake. You say no to some of the other stuff that gives you an advantage. Like, it's another one of those
He's
things where you're
conflicted.
gonna have to grind. You grind for rep, which means that it's another one of those. It's no different than XP. It's a different type of XP. Why would you allow their boost?
Listen, mister, I fall asleep 12 hours into a fucking episode. Reputation is something I can grind
Not applicable.
all
Not
day.
applicable.
I can grind rep all day. So, crafting is different. Reputation is something that I can put time into, and if I boost it, whatever. It's reducing my time. Crafting is an RNG. I'm not comfortable with it. It's very simple. Rep, no big deal. Unless they're based purely on quests, and that would really suck just as a design. Anyways, next one, having an elite status. An elite status normally means additional dungeon openings, more PvP, more whatever it may mean to you. Me, I'm gonna have to say 4 Wildstar. You're gonna have to come back to me, Beetle.
I've said this in the past, and I'm just gonna say yes because when Carbine says hybrid and they're talking about their payment model, I feel like they're leaning towards something like this instead of a pay subscription. They're gonna not like a game-breaking elite status, but you may get this. You know, like the whole elite gets this, check marks. Basic gets this, check mark. You know, bigger inventory, bigger bank, that kind of thing. I only say yes because, honestly, I feel that's what they're leaning towards. And if people are upset with it, when they say hybrid, I think that's what they're talking about.
Oh, I say it depends. If you're talking stuff like you're getting elite status, you get extra character slots, you get extra bags, you might get like, a special mount, same speed, but it looks cooler. That's fine. But if I'm cut out of doing dungeons because I'm not paying money, then no. If I'm cut out of content, then no.
All right, Nexus.
So yeah, I think if you were paying money and supporting the game, yeah, sure, go ahead and give them an elite, a title, a little sticker to put on their gear. I don't know, just give them something.
All right, we're gonna yes or no the next 4. Vanity pets. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Sure. Yes.
Vanity emotes. Yes, but make them expensive. Beetle?
Yes, but make them ballin'.
Yeah.
Aegon?
Yes, but they better be damn cool.
Yeah, what all 3 of them said.
Vanity housing items. Make them have weight. If I'm spending a shit ton of money, it better be worth it. If I'm spending $5, it better be fucking awesome. If I'm spending 50 cents, it better be Make them have weight for what I'm paying for. Beetle?
Yes, to make Nexus angry.
Yes.
Aegon?
Yes.
Alright.
Yes or no?
Yes or no? This is not yes or no. No.
This is what we're going. This is yes or no.
I knew this would hit him. I knew he'd get ticked.
No.
Casual clothing skins. No. Nope. Beetle.
Go ahead, they're great for the RP community.
Aegon?
I got no
Sorry,
problem. I got no problem for them. I mean, RP items, that's what they're awesome for. So.
Nexus?
Yes, if they're purely only viewable in like social situations, so in cities and in like housing plots and stuff like that.
We have to address the trolling devs here. What's a casual clothing skin? If
Matt
you played
beat me to
Terra,
it. I was gonna say naked.
They had swimsuits, they had all this stupid shit that you could buy. Not about it at all. So there are no hardcore clothing skins. There are just the casual, stupid, whatever ones. The last part that we have is mount. The speed is equivalent to in-game purchasable ones. So at level 20 you get this mount. At level 40 you get this mount. Level 50 you get this mount. and you can buy some kind of cool mount. Yes.
I'm gonna say no because I want to catch them all. Aegon.
I'm all for it.
Nexus.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
The first
right.
one that everybody disagreed with me on. Welcome to Late Night Dominion.
Well, that's it for our topics. They were, super controversial, especially the cash shop, and we talked, in depth about pre-release setups, being on a server, why developers and publishers do the things that they do, and our thoughts on that. So at this point, we're going to get into kitty cat talk, and I'm going to turn this over to Beetle to go ahead and do the questions.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna need to get my glasses, Cat. Thanks. I'll make the font bigger. How do you do that? What is Microsoft Word? That's too big. Not what she said. Yes? Maybe? Fuck. Alright. That's still... Somebody fix this for me. I suck. Alright, so kitty cat talk. Chicken Juice is out fighting bears with his fists, as he usually does midday Thursdays. So we've got Cat, as you may know from Wildstar, and one of our guild members. Grabbing the questions. Onres asks, what pre-launch mechanic have the group liked in previous games, aka rivals, etc.? What would you like to see? Blank. Go ahead.
We talked about it a little bit, but early access, and I would like, and if there's a way to secure my name so I don't get trolled and have to pay somebody to give me my fucking name in a game, that would be awesome. So if you can make that happen, thanks. But that's about it for me. Aegon?
Definitely name reservation and early access. But the whole rival system, we saw how well that went with Star Wars, and it was a total flop. So unless somebody can actually implement that in a much better, much more organized way, they can forget that. But definitely, name reservation and early access. But Beetle.
Yeah, name reservation's always great. One of my favorites that was done by Guild Wars 1 was the browser-based, app-based thing they did, where any achievements you created or completed in Guild Wars 1 would level you up and unlock certain weapon skins and mini-pets in Guild Wars 2. I thought that was genius, because it brought me and all my buddies reinstalling Guild Wars 1 again and trying to get these things and playing the game. It was having something like that, Wildstar, we have this thing, if you pre-order, you get this many points. If you go post over here on our Facebook, you like this on Facebook, you get this kind of point, and they just give you a little, random gimmicky stuff. I always thought those were cool. Nexus.
I actually kind of like that. I don't know about, if you pre-order or you get extra points, but doing social stuff. So if you are on a certain hour on Twitter and you tweet about Wildstar, you get a certain level of they can call them social points or whatever. I think that'd be pretty cool. That could be fun. I like name and even guild name reservations. Those are always neat because that's just a hassle whenever the game comes around and you've got someone who's trolling who takes our guild name or someone else's name, and that's not something I want to put up with. So yeah, that's fine. Some good stuff.
All right. Onres. We're moving on, Nexus. Don't worry your little self. Onres asks, with what have you heard in PvP/PvE loot? Has SVG determined a raid loot system yet? This would be a question for Phoenix and Blank. Phoenix is our PvE officer, and Blank will be heading up PvP. Since Phoenix isn't on the show, sorry Phoenix. Blank, you can take this one.
The loot systems, because for several reasons, are going to be officer loot distributed based upon variables that will be published to the guild, such as attendance, helpfulness, there's a bunch of them, and they're not going to be convoluted, stupid variables. They're going to be variables that are pretty easy to measure. That's going to go for PvE and PvP. More than likely that it's going to be more, unless there's loot bags in PvP, question mark, it's more of a big deal for PvE. Unless you're running in a war plot and you kill somebody and it drops a loot bag and it randomly has some fucking amazing item in it that is BOE, I don't see it being that big of a deal. But because of the loot that's being dropped for Wildstar that we know of now, you have need and greed and chip. And how you balance those based upon how many bosses and all this other shit would be just a headache to track. So it's much easier to track, your attendance, who's, reliable, who's helpful, more guild functions than actual math and numbers in the game. I didn't really like DKP, but I don't see it working that well for Wildstar. Go ahead and go for the next question.
Well, and there's always room for improvement to the DKP system. Who's to say Wildstar won't do their own thing, and all of a sudden people who hate DKP will like Wildstar's LKP is what it will be. Who let Honorez ask all these questions is my question. Honorez asked, what would be the chances of a bounty mod system being developed? There's been some great bounty systems in the past. Anybody who played Archlord, or Archlord if you want to call it, it was a little more small time. Eve's got a great one. I think it's doable. It's definitely doable, but you also have to have some sort of penalty system or a jailer system to combat it. Blank.
We have a lot of very amazing add-on developers, both in the community and on the actual development team. There being a bounty mod system is definitely something like, hey, you're on a PvP server, Extra Kick is put a bounty on blank space, try to slow him down leveling, and he'll give you 10 gold or whatever. Definitely could see something like that being put in. I don't see it being naturally put in by the game developers, but I definitely see something cool like that being set up potentially by the add-on people. We don't know that much about the systems they have, but something like that could be set up and would be kind of cool. If not, again, we've said this before on Late Night Dominion, there's your potential website. People that want to make stuff, why not make wildstarbounties.com? Hey, you want to put a bounty on somebody? They're on this server. We'll give you this much. I don't know. Just some thoughts. Nexus, how about you?
I think a bounty system would be great. Whether it's developed by a third party or by Carbine themselves, I think there's a lot you can do with it. It adds a fun aspect to the PvP, especially to the world PvP, which I love as a casual PvPer. You're out there, and I think you could even mess with the whole rivalry system they're going to have, where you can pick and choose the ones that you want to be after. So you run into the same guy over and over, you add him to your list, and I don't know, even have a point system where if you kill your rival X amount of times, you get to build up like an achievement or something. Like I think it'd be fun. And even if there's a bounty board in town where someone's just like, X person on the Exiles has been terrible and he's been ganking in this area, blah, blah, blah. I want somebody to go kill him, and then you can go and make a little bit of extra money. That's a fun way to make extra gold. It's more fun, in my opinion, than doing dailies.
Maddie K said you can absolutely do that with the add-on system. I don't want to see an in-game bounty. I'd rather see it done through an add-on, so then you can... I'd really like to think about it. I would rather it be an add-on that you installed as an active PvPer, unless ... Bardic or some PvPer come tell us, unless it's part of the game naturally, where you're on a PvP server, you are 5 levels higher than your victim, you killed them a bunch of times, and now all of a sudden you're open PvP all the time. If that's not the case and that's not the system, I'd like an add-on that's bounty fighters, whatever, where I put it on, other active PvPers put it on, and we see, oh, new bounty, exile side is this person, we put him on our rivals list, we go find him, track him down, first person to kill him automatically sends a little notification, hey, you owe me, 5 gold, I killed this dude who bothered you. Pretty friggin' cool. We'll see where it goes. Go ahead for the next question, Beetle.
Yeah, that all depends. If it's an add-on, it depends. Was it half-assed by Carbine and put in late? Is the add-on better than it, or is it not put in at all and the add-on could struggle due to that? Or is, when Maddie says it's definitely possible in the add-on system, you can definitely say that to a lot of things with that type of add-on system. It's possible. It just depends on how much work somebody puts in. Zilvis, blank, how much butt does one have to kiss to get a pin if you steal or procures an extra? I can answer this for him. If Blank gets an extra, I mean, it could go to a guild member, but knowing him, he'll probably do a giveaway on his stream with it, if that's
More
the correct
than likely,
answer.
guys. Yeah, it is. We did giveaways for our last charity event. There's another potential charity event in the future. It's very hard because I love the whole Wildstar community, and there's so many people. I can't just, I could just say I'm giving shit to my guild, but I'm not that kind of guy, and we're not that kind of guild. You can ask Aegon here. He's always like, please, guys, if you get anything, if Maddie signs a piece of paper, can you send it to me so I can put it on my wall? Like, if we're able to get extra stuff, we will distribute it as fairly and awesomely to the community as we can. And another part of it, too, the more I think about it, when I go to PAX, Onres is going to be there. I'm going to be meeting all these awesome people. One of the goals for me not only is to network, but I want to try and bring more people here. Like, if I'm rolling around in my wheelchair and someone's standing on the outside and be like, hey, dude, what's up? What do you think of the game? What are your thoughts? Engage them, talk to them, get them excited, give them insight. It may be about the pins, it might be about the swag. That shit is fun. But if I can bring more people to this game and get them excited about it, then fuck it. I'm doing my job for the community. So the next question is, too, can you grab me swag? I'll do what I can. But if I give a pin to somebody who brings that home and tells his friends or her friends about the game, to me that has more weight than to give it to one of you guys who are already here. We're going to be blessed by playing together with each other. It's going to be a good time. But if we can bring more people into our community that are awesome, that's what I'm going to try to do, at least at PAX. But we will definitely have stuff to give away for sure. Go ahead for the next question.
Right. Yeah, my only thing, and J-Tal and Maddie would probably love to help out with this, is at PAX, somebody just needs to steal me Peachan's shoes, just cause. Just pick him up and steal his shoes and take them. Just say that, just cause. Josh asked, the real question of the night, who is going to PAX and who is willing to pay it forward with some swag? We've got Blank going to PAX. We've got Onres going to PAX. We've got
Mission Nexus people going?
Most of them are Midwest, if I'm not mistaken, according to Datix. If you're going, throw it in chat right now. Yeah, Angry's going.
Shan.
So.
Shal. Yeah, so we've got some people going. And again, we say it every week. I say it on Twitter. If you see me, I definitely won't have this crappy hair. I'll definitely have a nice haircut. But I will be one of the only dudes in a wheelchair. I guarantee it.
That was
Come
random.
up. Say hi. Tell me your guild. Let's bullshit. Let's talk Wildstar. Let's have a good time. Don't be that. There were so many people who went to PAX East who were like, bro, I remember you from your stream, but I didn't come up and say hi to you. I was like, what the fuck? This is the time to come up and say hi. This is the time to grab lunch, to go to a panel, to bullshit, So meet everybody that you can, for sure. All right.
Okay. We are on number 8. Honor has asked, should Carbine staff's tunes in-game be able to be distinguished? So I know this is my answer on it. Personal tunes most likely will be the same as all of ours. If it is a staff tune or, in-studio tune, they could be. They could have a little, you guys all remember the arena net tags next to people, so it's definitely possible if it's for moderation purposes. Blank.
Normally, the only characters that are distinguished are support. So they are the GMs that are in charge of item returns, Tier 1 and Tier 2. That's based off of Blizzard. So if you were to run into Scooter in the game, unless you were in his guild, you wouldn't know that it was Scooter. He normally wouldn't have his name like that. So you're not going to be able to distinguish them. And the ones that you can distinguish that have like some sort of Wildstar, Carbine, whatever, are normally customer service, and they're the ones that are there to work on items and that sort of shit. So no, you're not going to be able to gank them or any shit like that. And normally they're very closely guarded with who they do run with and what they do. So it's not like you're going to know that, Scooter is an extra kick or that Bardic is an SVG or any of those sort of things, because you never know. You would have no idea. And this is the way it's always been. Next question.
All right. Tick asks, what's up with Wildstar shutting down the beta for a couple months to completely retool its skill progression system? It seems unlikely we'll see it in 2013. I've said this in the past. I agree. I think it seems unlikely, but they could definitely still make it. And it's not shutting down to retool completely. Yes, they've said they're going to – Gortok said they're thinking about reworking circuit board crafting, but they also said they're changing a lot of things. So – why not shut it down if people are giving you so much feedback in beta that has to do with things that have already changed? That's so counterproductive. So if they're making all these huge changes to the game, why would they keep the beta open if they're just going to keep receiving bug reports and feedback on things that aren't there anymore or have been changed already? So it's just cleaning up the pieces is really what it is. Superior asks, do they plan on doing any sort of PvP tournaments? I personally haven't heard anything about tournaments yet because they said Spectator wouldn't be in launch, I believe is the last thing we heard. Blank?
This is what I can say. If they don't plan on doing PvP tournaments, I can guarantee that this community will make them happen. I personally will help make them happen. If it's a stream that we put together with guilds that put in their people, we will make it happen. If we can push it to them and we tell them we're interested in this, we're interested in that, and they can and can't do it, cool. No matter what, the community that works hard is the best. We are a hardworking community that gives a shit about Wildstar. If they don't have it, we will make it work. Next question.
Hallelujah.
Honors, I'm skipping that one, sorry. Maddie wants to know what celestial body does Chad Moore's head most resemble? Nexus usually come up with good ones for this.
Wait. What celestial body does Chad...
God.
I don't know.
Damoon, says Aro.
Damoon, there you go.
Uranus would be the smart-ass thing to say.
Next.
Next? You could say Pluto because we haven't seen him lately.
Pluto. That's true.
Yes, Maddie, you did. I couldn't stop laughing. I had to mute my mic because that was some funny shit. So, nice job with the question. Go ahead to question 13.
Alright. Should crafters be able to make... I don't know that acronym. Is that best in setup
Best
or
in
best
slot.
in game? That's what I thought.
Come on now.
Should crafters be able to make best in slot gear? I think they should. Blank.
Only specific slots that normally are weighted less. Sorry to go back to WoW, but belt, boots, gloves, gloves, shit that doesn't matter. Don't make it your shoulders, your chest, your headpiece, the shit that really seems to fucking matter. And I don't know why it's like that, but no. Go ahead. Aegon.
Yeah, I agree with Blank. It should definitely be like certain lower level pieces, even some accessories, but definitely not like your main pieces of gear.
No, yeah.
Next.
The stuff that, the stuff that has the majority of the stats on it shouldn't be best in slot. But anything that is like, your rings or your trinkets and stuff like that, I'm okay with that being crafted. Go ahead.
All right. Next question from Datix. If you could create a server name for Wildstar, what would it be? So this is when we kind of go back to, there was a question a couple weeks ago do you want to see pop culture references within the game? And most of us said no because of the lore. This is where a game like this, with its comedic value, stuff like that, that I'd like to see lore in the server names, but I'd also like to see their takes on their lore mixed with pop culture references. That's just me. Blank.
If I'm gonna be silly, how about the I don't know. I had something funny and then I lost it. This fucking Vitalis serum stuff has messed with my brain. All I wanted to say was this was an awesome question, and I can't think of anything that wouldn't be Wildstar themed. Let's call it Nexus. Woo! I'm sure that Pappy has some really cool server names for us, and I'm pretty sure that it's probably his department that created them. But I am too funk to drunk at this point, so I probably said that wrong too. Anyways.
Yeah, those thimbles of liquor, they get in you. Alright. Fallen Angel wants to know, what do they think about fun things like a drop on a cow on you as a finisher in PvP a la Guild Wars 2? That was one of my favorite things added in that game entirely, was finishers. And the fact that you can buy them permanently now, I just actually patched that game, is amazing to me. Finishers is such a small thing, but the way they customize it, I loved it. So if Wildstar can do something similar, I would be all for it. Those things were so cool to me. What we got? Kitchkanet, what do you guys think about big opening events for raids? AQ had a huge quest change plus resort war effort, big battle at the opening. And what do you guys think? Blank, I know this is probably you.
I like events that not only tell the story, but are, I'm missing the word, it's not, someone help me with the word that I want. When you had to get attunement quest, bam! Didn't have enough fucking toilet bowl cleaner. When you have to work together to get something, especially as a server, that shit is memorable. I know there's people in chat, and I know there's people here that are watching this that remember that. They remember where they were when AQ40 opened up. They remember these events stick with you forever. Sunwell, opening it up as a server, racing, not just as a guild, as a fucking community, pushing together, getting these dailies done so you could get into that content. There was a lot of pride to be had there. So if done right, and by doing right, I mean, there's no pay to win sort of stuff. We're talking about straight up sort of WoW stuff where you have the same amount of quests, the same amount of people, population was really the only thing that mattered. I love it. It is a nuance to a game that's been lost for a very long time, and it adds so much of that nostalgia that a lot of us hardcore old school players think about. When I think about my hardcore days, I think about rushing, watching AQ open. I remember getting into Nax. I remember getting my first glaive drop. I remember certain things. But when it's not only your guild, but it's an entire server, that's really awesome. Aegon, how about you?
For that stuff, that was some of the most fun stuff I ever did in WoW. Was those big opening events, and I'm all for them, especially if they build on the current storyline and lore, and bring us deeper into the story of what we're about to raid, or we're about to open up. I mean, it's just fun. I mean, it really gets you into what the content is coming, and if Wildstar can pull it off even better than WoW did, I mean, I'm all for it. What do you think, Nexus?
No, I totally agree with pretty much what everybody just said. It has to be done right, but if it's done right, it would be absolutely amazing because you get everyone involved. You might not necessarily get the occasion to talk to other guilds on a regular basis, but then you get this global event where everybody has to work together to accomplish the common goal. I mean, that can only be good, right? Unless of course there's competition within one another, but it's for the server, not personal benefit. So. From something as simple as a task where you have to go gather wood in order to build a wall, in order to get ready for a siege that's going to happen, to to, I don't know, even running an instance to get the item off the last boss that you then turn in, and you have to fill the quota before your server can progress and open the gates of who knows what. You know, like all that kind of stuff, in my opinion, is great and should be done. I highly encourage it. I love it.
What I wanted to add to that, Nexus, was people are saying it in chat, and if you're watching on YouTube, you're missing this. It didn't matter if your server was the first or the last. It was still epic. It was about the journey as a community. And that's one of those little things that MMOs have forgotten. They've made games easier. They're trying to get quick money. But there's, like I said, and I give my examples, there are things that I still remember fondly about my gaming past. And those things were part of it. And it wasn't just putting the boss down. It was working together on our server forums to try and get guilds together, to get them into a team speak, to get them working towards certain objectives. That builds a strong community, and a strong community keeps games going. And so, Carbine, NC Staff, you want to keep us around. You want us to be playing this game. You don't want us to dump it in 3 months. Consider putting these events into the game. I don't mind busting my ass with my server, even if it's a cross-faction thing where it's Exiles and Dominion have to do shit together. That's kind of a cool idea. Anyways, please consider this. It's one of those memories that when you talk about gaming, you always have to share with other people because they remember where they were when it happened, the stories and shit that they talk about now. Go ahead for the next question, 17.
Those vanilla WoW moments is what he means.
Listen, it's not just vanilla. It was BC.
No, the quote vanilla WoW. Sorry, didn't mean to upset you.
It wasn't just vanilla. It's any event that inspires your server or general community to work together. It's not just, my organization, just my guild. It was, we had to do this together. It makes shit stronger. That's why vanilla and BC were fucking amazing, and the rest of the stuff that came out of there was garbage. Anyways, go ahead.
Nothing. My girlfriend was just trying to reach over and grab a muffin on my desk. You could have just asked. All right, Fallout. I'd like to know the views, ideas in relation towards housing. And this question's got a bit into it, but I'd like to hit on. What about a guild house? The ability to have a guild house for meeting special perks events. I'm all for a guild house. Like, maybe it's just something that everybody in the guild, when you go to your house, maybe there's also another button to visit the guild house. I think that'd be awesome. A guild hall, a guild floating house in the sky. It's as your own house, but you can also have another one just to travel to, just right off the bat, if your guild has purchased it already. I think is a really cool idea. It could maybe have specific, plugs and stuff like that, but I think the majority of the plugs could be the same. That way you don't have to do so many buffs on your own house if you are part of a big guild. Aegon?
Well, yeah, when you put something like that in, I think, your guild house will be a much better place for, those raid plugins and such. They would definitely fit more into a guild house situation than a personal plot. Plus, what are the other perks they can build guild-based? I mean, you can have guild buffs based around, plugins to that plot as well. So, it's an idea they can work on. What do you think, Nexus?
There was actually a thread that was up a while ago now. It must have been a month or two ago. By Dragon, one of our old members, and it was called the Big Bad Beta Thread. PvP thread, sorry, the Big Bad PvP thread. And what he ended up writing about on it was actually having the guild houses, but even merging those with what you would use as your war plot, right? So you'd have the exterior of your war plot where the fighting would happen, and then you would have maybe an instant hall where you'd go in and you'd be able to decorate that with different trophies, different stuff like that, and that would qualify as your guild house. So, I mean, I personally think that would be a great idea, as long as it doesn't, affect the war plot itself. It doesn't give you any huge benefit other than just having a cool place to hang out after you've, you just finished, your 40 versus 40. Then let's go all hang out inside the guild hall, feast and drink and have fun. that could add a really cool aspect to it. So yes, guild housing would be a pretty cool idea, honestly.
All right.
Blank, you had a couple comments?
That's all I want to say is guild houses needs to be put in. You already have the infrastructure. You already got the code. All you got to do is add some really cool stuff that's some like art departments and shit. Guild housing should be something that you buy with your guild resource, whatever currency crap they're going to come up with. This definitely should be a thing. It doesn't have to be a core, like one of the things that they push. But if you're going to have housing, why not make an organizational one? It adds to your identity. It'd be really cool. And then, of course, you always have your outside big server stuff. But if I had a big, please do for me, that would be one of them. That would be really cool. And then, you could put your PvE, stuff in there. You could put your PvP stuff in there. Your warp clock at this rank this week, and you got a special whatever. Just potential things to think about. Anyways, next question.
Yeah, well, like you said, the infrastructure's already there. And we've talked about in the past, having certain guild members, your house is the buff plot, your house is the crafting plot. That way you don't have to say that kind of thing. You can say, all right, our guild house has these things. Sorry, you can make your volleyball court or whatever the hell you want to make. All right, so something different. What are the guys' thoughts on endgame for PvE having mostly dailies repeatables, basically things to set? I don't know that word. To deal with boredom like some games. Nexus.
Satiate.
You don't know that word.
It's actually a funny question because I've always considered dailies to be incredibly boring because you do end up doing them every day, and at least with WoW, to me they were more just as an extra source of money more than anything. And if I'd log on and I'd be like, okay, well I've got my 15 dailies to go do, let's go get this over with. It was never I'm so excited, I get on and do my dailies, sweet. No, that never ever happened. So, I mean, to put them in can be handy because it does give you a little extra something to do to get your mind off of the fact that you could just be standing there jumping around in a circle, though I love doing that. And if I get to do it in a house plot where everything's really pretty, then please, all the more, right? But to satiate boredom, hell no. They're boring. And they might be fun the first couple times around, but when you're doing them every day for a year, they're not fun. But I mean, that's just, I don't know. I don't like them. Blank.
They have their place. Dailies, repeatables. I don't think they're there to satiate boredom. They're an econ decision. Hey, that's if I am correct, and this is a kind of a stretch. Dailies were put in not only for reputation, because grinding reputation before that was a fucking chore, especially anybody who grinded the Frost Saber, that was a bitch. But they were put in there as additional money to be put into the system that you could do, and then they added reputation in. I'm not quite sure. But they're not there to satiate boredom. They have a specific function within a game design. Most of the time it's add additional money. It's to give reputation. Sometimes it's even to drive story in a certain direction. Hey, this reputation opens up this, opens up this, opens up a quest, opens up whatever. So I don't believe that if they're there to satiate boredom, they've done something terribly wrong. Anyways, Aegon?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't satiate boredom at all. In fact, they for me, they're incredibly boring and mind-numbingly dull. I mean, if you can come up with some kind of system where, your dailies change constantly and give you new objectives every day, that might work. But doing this, it almost feels like an obligation that I have to run these all the time, and it's always the same exact thing to grind reputation. I'm doing the same exact thing every day, over and over again, to fill out reputation. Boring. It's boring and monotonous. I mean, I pretty much ran those things, as a zombie, at certain points. Do something to change it up is what needs to happen if they want to, go with a dailies type system.
All right. Fallen Angel asks, what does SVG think about the in-depth resume application needs for guild recruitment? I think it all depends on the type of guild and, I mean, literally what they need and what they're looking for. Blank's probably got a couple things on this one.
People have gotten frustrated, and this is personally for our guild. We have a tiered application process, and it says a lot about who you are just from the resume part. You put in your experiences, you put in, it's the first, just like it is for a job interview, it's all of your information kind of compressed down, how well you write it, your grammar, if you take the time to spell check, things like that. I think it's awesome if somebody's willing to take that time to apply to your organization, then they will put that sort of effort into being a member of your organization. I will talk about us personally. Like I said, it's tiered. So we start with an application, and you tell what type of applicant you want to be. And then if you come in, if it's casual, it's a totally different type than if you're hardcore. A hardcore goes through not only the regular questions about, why you're applying and et cetera, but then there is an entire section on trying to understand the type of player they are, their experiences, how they approach situations, how they deal with pressure, so that before you even get a chance to sit down and game with people, you have an understanding of how they look at things. Now, we have had people come in and be like, I'm like the ranked 20 fucking tank in the world, yo, what's up? But your attitude probably means you got carried and you're a jackass. So no thank you. Good luck with your search. Peace out. Some guilds don't do this. Some organizations have a blanket policy that they're just looking to have the most amount of people. They accept anybody that wants to join. They're normally the most toxic because there's no oversight. Nobody cares. And there's less loyalty there. It is a good tool for the organizations that want to have a real hand in the community that they're building for a game. Nexus, what about your thoughts?
Now, it's more of like a reiteration of what you just said. Like, it depends on the type of organization you are. If you're really trying to be influential and you're trying to bring people together who, respect what's going on in the community and in the game, like, you need to have a decent application process. Some people have, like, especially with ours, some people have approached us and, messaged me and been like, this is ridiculous. Why do I have to spend 30 minutes or whatever typing up an application for you guys? I could just, you'll find out down the road. Well, no, because I don't want to find out down the road that you are a jackass, like Blank said, You can kind of hear it in the way people, describe themselves, that kind of thing. But it's not just about that. It's also about the fact that whenever you're doing an interview, by asking questions like, what are skills that you have in real life that you see yourself applying in online situations, and asking kind of like in-depth questions like that, you can find out a little bit about what people are good at, and you can, let's say you need a writer, and they're willing to write, but they don't know you need a writer, and you don't know that they're a writer. Well, that's not going to be discussed in the interview unless you ask. And then 6 months down the road, they're just like, oh, look at this article I wrote, and you're like, oh, cool, you wrote an article, and they're like, yeah, I'm a writer, and you're like, wait, what? You're a writer? And it's like, that's just one example. Like, you do the interview so you learn everything you can about the person right off the bat. It's not the last screening process. You'll obviously find out more about them as you go, but get as much of it as you can out of the way. And plus, honestly, the more you know about a person right off the bat, the easier it is to just kind of get used to them. So that's the way I see it. I know that some people hate them. That's fine. But, I mean, I guess it's not the guild for you if you hate it, Yeah. Who's next here? I'm on track here.
It's okay. It went here.
Well, Blank deleted me.
It says, I understand the talking interview, but I meant the written one. Normally, the written part is your resume. Whether we've had people who've applied who are 15, 16, who have some gaming experience but a lot of drive. You are able to, just like with a regular resume, and if you've never had a chance, you haven't sat in that position to receive resumes, it's a whole different world. You can tell the difference between somebody who takes the time to put their application together in good order, to send it in on time, to come in and talk to you in person. There's a lot to be said that you can draw just from the written application process. If somebody only takes 5-10 minutes, they write 1 to 2 sentence answers and send it to you. They don't fill out, their gaming history. They don't fill out, specific questions that give more detail to them. Then they either A, didn't care, or B, didn't read the directions most of the time. And why would you waste your time to set up an interview to talk to this person unless you're a mass recruiting guild who just takes in anybody? That's why your application process should fit the organization that you're trying to build. If you're trying to build just a regular anybody gets in, fuck it, don't have an application. Just have a, yo, hit us up, we will let you in. If you're looking to build something different, you need to build your application process around where you want to go. Beetle?
Yeah, see, and this is where I'm kind of torn on this, and Fallen S is more written info better, or can it be detrimental? There's a certain point where I feel it can be detrimental, but there's also a certain point applications you get and they didn't fill it out, or they didn't follow the directions at all. Boom, fail the application. They didn't answer the questions correctly or something like that, something as simple as that. But there's people that write paragraphs, but then there's people that write out well-thought answers. And it may not be the biggest thing, but I know for myself, I'm not that well-spoken in a writing format. Blank may post, a 6-paragraph thing on the forums, and then I type for what feels like 20 minutes, and mine's still a fifth of the size of his in the post. And I feel like I typed it just as well. So there's certain applications you receive that they didn't write their whole life story, but that's what the team speak, the interview process is for. They're one of those people that we comment on. We say, all right, so he didn't write as well as some of these other people, but I'd like to talk to him. And then you talk to these people and you understand, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's really smart. He's played these games in the past, so that's what the 2-part process is for. Not everybody's the best writer. Like, I'm a terrible test taker. I always was through school and all that crap. I could do all my projects. I could get everything done, but you sit me down in a room with a pencil and an answer sheet, and I'd freak out. And that's just how I was. So there's understanding different types of people, and that's one of the best parts about the 2-tier process. You can take somebody that you think, all right, not the strongest answers, but I'd still like to talk to him. I think Blank says I'd like to rake him over the coals a little bit and see if I could scare him. But it's not that scary, don't worry. I don't even know. Where are we?
Real quick comment that I want to make. Leopard Spots made the comment in chat. Intensive applications are good for already established guilds. Guilds that are just starting out will just get skipped. Only thing I have to say about that is that we've had the exact same application process since we started Subterfuge Vanguard back in March, and things have turned out just fine. So I don't think it's about whether you're new or not. It's more about just the kind of people that you're trying to recruit. That's really it. Because if somebody applies and they write, you ask them, what are your qualities? What is something that you would say you can work on? And they just kind of go, well, I don't know. I'm not really sure. This is kind of a vague question. What does that say about them? They don't know how to analyze themselves, and just make a couple comments about the kinds of things they can work on. Which down the road, you're running a raid with them, and you notice that they're messing up, and you're like, you're not doing exactly the best you could. What do you think you're doing wrong? They're just like, well, I don't know. It's just kind of no. It represents the kind of person that they are. It's not perfect, obviously, but it's part of it. I don't know.
And I'll pick that up there. I wanted to talk about the different applications, and J-Tile just said it, and that's exactly I also am aware of role-playing guilds that have more, and it still blows my mind. They have a more intense application process than to get into a guild like SVG or fucking CND or any of these hardcore guilds that are trying to be badass out there. These role-play guilds will put you to shame. And that still blows my mind. Like, if your shit ain't on point to be an RPer, they're like, no, thank you. Our community is that fucking badass. We are that strict. Goodbye. It's like, but they don't care. I also want to talk about, because some people were mentioning it in chat, we've had people who English as a second language. We have people who are trying to balance having an EU or an SEA or a AUS time schedule and still play hardcore for NA Eastern Standard. You have to, and it's something you get used to. We're actually training a couple of our officers on the recruitment process, being able to look at an application and see potential and say they may not be the best at forming their sentences, they may not be the best at writing. However, they may be very intelligent when it comes to looking at situations. They may be amazing at critical response in the middle of a raid. So that is why you have to really go through and take the time, look at the applications, process them, and then bring them in and discuss with them where they're at. It's out of all the things I do as a guild leader, and I think Beto can tell you that it's one of the most time-consuming, especially if you want to bring in quality people that you're not going to then, remove a month later because they don't fit. And I gotta think, I'm pretty sure, Beto, we haven't removed anybody who hasn't fit in our guild for a really long time.
No, the thing you tell them is, all right, I see you're in the Australian time zone. I see you're hardcore. Do you understand what time our raids will be at? It's your thing. We've got Rafe who's in Brazil. His time zone works just fine. It's just I think he's still technically in East, or he's just an hour ahead of East. It's just like, as long as you understand, and you work nights, you're fine. As long as you understand what you're capable of, and you're saying you're going to be hardcore. If an Australian person says they're going to be a hardcore raider, doesn't show up for the first 3 raids, you're not a hardcore raider. Sorry, you're getting knocked down. It's understanding what times you'll be able to play, and that's fine with us.
All right. Thanks, guys, for that question. We got last one.
Mr. Fallen Angel Blank, will you go to the Army Ball with him?
I would absolutely go to the Army Ball with you. Not quite sure how I get there, and I'm pretty sure there aren't sponsors to send me there, but I'm a pretty personable dude, so yeah, why not? Who's wearing the dress? Ben wants to know. That's going to be a little rock, paper, scissors, and if you watch the Elden games, you know that for money, for the kids, for them kids, good old Blank put on a dress for charity, because I give no fucks, Wearing a dress for the kids for an extra donation didn't bother me one bit. So this is, of course, Late Night Dominion. We just answered all your questions. We gave you the weekly news, which wasn't that much. We took the time to try and talk about community interaction, pre-launch, possibilities for the developers and add-ons that could be put together. We talked about faction, rivalries, and like Wildstar has, an amazing community where rivalry doesn't mean I actually hate you. We talked about our hashtags, and then we got into cash shops, what we did want, what we didn't want to see. We discussed in general what pay to win was and wasn't. Still looking forward to that big information drop that'll come for the future. And excuse me. At this time, we have one shout out, and you're going to get a link. Kat, go ahead and link this in chat. If you missed this, I did miss this. There is a community competition going on right now from Wildstar Central. We love you, Zap. Wish you'd sent this to us because I missed it. They are asking people to design a very specific background for the website, and you get some sweet swag if you win. And I believe they're collecting three winners. I suck at art. I can barely friggin' draw stick people. My 2-year-old daughter is much better at art than I am, so I cannot. But if you haven't seen this, check it out. Put in a submission. It might be on Wildstar Central, which is the #1 Wildstar website. Definitely should check it out if you have some sort of art stuff. And good luck to all those who put something in. And just so you guys know, Community Game Night, it will be restarting again 2 Sundays from now. Make sure to stay tuned to Wildstar Central for new posts relating to the event. We're going to be revitalizing this project, especially with the beta downtimes happening. We thought it'd be a good time to get this going. And as soon as we know more about the town halls, like I've told everybody, after Gamescom and PAX Prime, we will be discussing and sitting down, finalizing plans for the town halls. There will be 2 of them. That's all we got for you folks. So again, make sure to follow this Twitch channel. Check us all out on Twitter. Retweet our tweets. We'll tweet your tweeters. Like us on Facebook. And as always, we're so glad to be here to be able to have this fun time. Somebody likened our show as the community hangout, where like they come home from Thursday, they come home from work, they have a beer, sit down, and they bullshit about Wildstar and chat. We're glad we could do that. I can definitely say I'm personally very happy that we're here. So, you guys have anything you want to say before we sign out?
Bye.
Bye.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us,
I'm
everyone,
so-
again this
I'm
week.
so tired. I'm gonna fall asleep soon.
Everyone's exhausted.
Exhausted.
Games on information next week. We got a little insider info, so Thursday should be interesting. That's all I can tell you about that. Make sure to tune in, and we'll see you folks on Wildstar Central and Twitter and everywhere else. And again, thanks for tuning into the show. God bless you guys.
You guys
Good
are
night.
crazy.
Thanks,
Love
folks.
you.
See y'all next week.